Stop what you are doing and listen. Truly listen, because you have been begging for a sign, and this is it. Important note: this is timeless wisdom. Remove all distractions right now to aid you in achieving the optimum results. Do not scroll past this, for the universe does not respond to beggars. It responds to commanders. You are tired in a way that sleep does not fix. That is the most important sentence you will hear today, and most men will spend their entire lives never understanding what it actually means. Your shoulders are tight. The weight is real. And every morning when you wake up, the heaviness is already sitting on your chest before you even open your eyes. You push through. You put in the hours while the rest of the world sleeps. You read the books, you set the goals, and you do the work. But the breakthrough you were promised never seems to arrive. It feels as though you are driving with the emergency brake pulled tight. I am here to tell you that this is not a lack of effort. You do not have a motivation problem. You have a programming problem. Deep within the architecture of your subconscious mind, there is an outdated script running on a loop. It is quietly sabotaging every conscious step you take toward wealth and peace. Until you rewrite that script, every empire you build will collapse under the weight of your unseen fears. You have been looking up at the sky. You have been waiting for the universe to grant you permission to finally become the man you were meant to be. You say to yourself that the time is not right yet. You tell your family that you are just waiting for the pieces to align. But I must tell you a harsh truth. The universe does not give permission. It only recognizes absolute authority. Waiting for a sign is the ultimate trap. It is a comforting lie invented by the drifter to justify his own hesitation. When you wait for a sign, you surrender your power to circumstance. You tell your mind that you are not the creator of your reality. You convince yourself that you are merely a passenger on a ship driven by chance, and because your subconscious mind is a loyal servant, it obeys that exact command. Let me explain this hidden law. Your subconscious is a tireless contractor. It does not argue with you. It does not judge your requests. It simply takes the blueprints you hand it and builds your reality without question. When you live in a constant state of waiting, you are handing it a blueprint of lack. You are literally instructing it to keep the things you desire just out of reach. Think of it this way. A man who waits for wealth to arrive is affirming that he is currently poor. A man who waits for a sign to start building his empire is declaring that he is powerless today. The subconscious hears this declaration of powerlessness. It goes to work ensuring that your tomorrow looks exactly like your frustrating today. You are trapped in an invisible prison, and you are the one holding the key. Look around you. The world is full of men who wait for a miracle. They gather in crowds and complain about their misfortune. They blame the economy, their bosses, or their lack of education. They spend decades trapped in this cycle of victimhood. But their true enemy is not society. Their true enemy is the passive state of their own mind. They are drifters floating down a river toward nowhere. You are watching this because you refuse to be a drifter. You feel that restless irritation in your chest when you sit too long in the wrong life. That discomfort is not failure. That is your soul, demanding you stop living like a visitor in your own existence. It is the evidence that you are still alive enough to feel the distance between who you are and who you could be. The drifter mistakes this restlessness for anxiety. He tries to drown it in entertainment or bury it under meaningless busy work. He medicates the feeling until his spirit becomes dull and compliant. But the Creator recognizes this pain for what it truly is. Pain is not proof of error. It is proof of expansion. It is the sacred pressure of life demanding motion and transformation. You must decide to stop negotiating with your own destiny. The time for gathering information without execution is over. The time for seeking validation from those who do not understand your vision is finished. You have collected enough wisdom to conquer the world. Now you must command it. You must step into the role of the sovereign commander of your thoughts. This invisible prison was built brick by brick through years of passive thinking. Every time you said you were not ready, you added a bar to the cell. Every time you sought a sign, instead of making a choice, you locked the door a little tighter. But the beautiful truth of the law is this: The very same mind that constructed the prison has the absolute power to tear it down. You do not need a lightning bolt from the heavens. You do not need a perfect day or a sudden burst of certainty. Certainty is not found waiting in the future. It is built through decision and through action taken while doubt still speaks. The man who waits to feel completely ready dies with his music still inside him. You must commit to motion today. Say this aloud right now. Do not just think it. Let the vibration of these words begin to rewire your mental architecture. I am the master of my fate. I am the cause and not the effect of my reality. I no longer wait for signs because I am the sign. Speak it with the authority of a king reclaiming his stolen throne. When you issue a direct command to your mind, the chaos begins to organize. The confusion dissolves into clear direction. People around you will sense the shift in your energy before you even show them any physical results. They will notice that your voice carries weight. They will see that your presence commands respect. This is because you have finally stopped negotiating with your fears. The Creator does not ask the world for a portion of success. He dictates his terms, and the world bends to accommodate his definite aim. But this level of mental dominion requires a brutal honesty with yourself. You must look at your current life and take absolute responsibility for every part of it, the good, the bad, and the stagnant. You created it all through your dominant thoughts. This realization terrifies the drifter. He wants to believe that his poverty is a noble burden placed upon him by fate. But for you, this realization is the ultimate freedom. If your past thoughts created your current struggles, then your new commands will create your future empire. You are in complete control of the mechanism. You only need to learn how to operate it correctly. I will show you exactly how this mechanism operates. I will reveal why your hardest work has not paid off. There is one hidden law running in your brain right now that is blocking your wealth. The drifter will ignore this warning and return to his comfortable misery. But you will stay. By the end of this chapter, you will understand the paradox of your own mind. You think you are losing your mind because the old ways no longer work for you. But here is the truth no one tells you. You are not losing your mind. You are losing your old programming. You are shedding the identity of a victim and preparing to step into absolute power. The invisible prison is already breaking open. Now you must learn the law to step outside. But here's the truth that no one will tell you. The universe works by law and not by a clock. It does not care about your timeline or your exhaustion. It only responds to the exact frequency of your dominant thoughts. The drifter believes that time will eventually heal his struggles, but time without a deliberate decision is nothing more than a slow decay. You must understand the brutal difference between the drifter and the creator. The drifter is a professional waiter. He waits for the economy to improve before he takes a risk. He waits for a sign from above before he commits to his purpose. And because he is always waiting for external validation, his subconscious mind freezes his entire reality in a perpetual state of delay. This is what society calls patience, but I call it cowardice disguised as a virtue. True patience is remaining calm while you actively execute your plan. False patience is sitting on the sidelines waiting for the game to magically get easier. The drifter suffers from this false patience, and he prays for an easy path instead of commanding the internal strength to walk a remarkably hard one. Now look at the Creator. The Creator is the architect of destiny. He does not ask the world for a favorable wind. He decides his destination and forces the wind to serve his sails. When a creator faces a closed door, he does not sit outside and wait. He recognizes the closed door as a test of his resolve, and he commands it to open through sheer unyielding will. The drifter sees life as a series of random events happening to him. If he fails a test, he claims the universe is punishing him. If he loses a friend, he feels betrayed by fate. But the Creator operates on a completely different level of awareness. The Creator understands deeply that every sudden loss is simply the universe conducting necessary cosmic housekeeping. You are shedding the old layers of your existence. You feel isolated because your new frequency is repelling the drifters in your life. They cannot stand your new discipline. They will mock your focus and call you obsessed. Let them mock you, because their deep misunderstanding of your path is the exact sign you have been desperately asking for all this time. A man who learns to recognize the law never drifts again. He treats every obstacle as raw material for his empire. When his bank account is empty, he does not panic. He maintains a cold calmness because he knows the invisible season is at work. The invisible season is that sacred phase where the roots of your future success are growing deep and strong underground. The drifter quits during the invisible season. He digs up the seed to see if it is growing, and in doing so, he kills it. He abandons his definite chief aim for a cheaper thrill. But you must hold your ground. You must recognize that the silence of the universe is not a rejection, but rather a fierce period of testing to see if your decision is truly permanent. This brings us to the core of the law of recognition. You must stop looking for signs in the sky. You must start recognizing the power in your own decisions. A decision made with absolute certainty creates a shock wave in the quantum field. The moment you decide to become wealthy without any hesitation, the universe begins rearranging circumstances to match your command. But this reorganization often looks like chaos at first. You might lose your job. A business deal might fall through at the last minute. The drifter panics and runs back to his comfortable misery. The Creator smiles. He knows that the old structure must collapse before the new empire can be built, so he recognizes the temporary chaos as a brilliant divine renovation. You must develop this exact worldview. Every thought is a seed, every action is water, and your reality is the inevitable harvest. If you do not like your current harvest, you must ruthlessly examine the seeds you planted yesterday. The Creator takes absolute ownership of his failures, and he never blames the weather because he is too busy planting better seeds today. Let me make this perfectly clear. Drifting is the ultimate enemy of greatness. A wrong decision executed with absolute conviction is better than no decision at all. A wrong decision provides data. It gives you feedback to adjust your aim. But indecision provides nothing but a slow death, and you must brutally kill your hesitation before it kills your ultimate potential. Your mind is a fortress. You are the mental gatekeeper of this sacred space. You must stand at the door of your consciousness with a drawn sword. You cannot allow doubt to enter your sanctuary. When a thought of poverty approaches, you must strike it down immediately, and you must quickly replace it with a relentless command of absolute and undeniable abundance. The universe is closely observing your behavior. It is watching how you handle the quiet moments. Do you maintain your posture when no one is watching? Do you speak your definite aim when your pockets are entirely empty? The Creator acts as if he is already victorious, and he walks with the heavy presence of a king long before the physical crown is placed on his head. This posture is not delusion. It is the highest form of spiritual technology. By acting as the person you intend to become, you force your subconscious mind to bridge the gap. Your brain cannot tell the difference between a real event and a deeply imagined one. When you assume the exact feeling of the vision fulfilled, you become a terrifyingly magnetic force of nature. The drifter demands proof before he will believe. He says he will act like a king when he gets the money, but the law demands the exact opposite. You must believe first. You must become the king in your mind first. Only then will the physical world finally yield the treasure. And this is the fierce test that quickly eliminates 99% of all weak men. You are the 1%. You understand that the physical world is merely a mirror reflecting your inner state. If the mirror shows poverty, you do not attempt to paint the mirror. You change the man standing in front of it. That is the ultimate secret of the law of recognition. How did the greatest titans in history use this law to rise from nothing? We will uncover their blueprint next. Let us look to the example of Thomas Edison. He did not sit in the dark waiting for a sign. He did not ask the universe for a sudden miracle. He possessed a relentless and burning desire to illuminate the entire world. And this absolute obsession became the only signal he ever needed to begin his monumental work. When his laboratory burned to the ground, the drifter would have wept. A weak man would have called it a tragic sign to finally quit. but Edison stood before the roaring flames and smiled. He told his son to bring his mother to watch the beautiful fire. He recognized the disaster as a divine clearing of his past mistakes. He started rebuilding the very next morning. That is the relentless posture of the Creator. He does not allow external circumstances to dictate his internal state. When the physical world collapses around him, he simply commands his mind to construct a stronger foundation. This is how a man forces reality to surrender to his absolute will. Look at Henry Ford and his vision for the V8 engine. His top engineers told him the design was physically impossible. They brought him endless proof of their technical limitations. But Ford refused to accept their narrow view of reality. He looked at them with cold calmness and told them to produce it anyway. He forced them to stay on the project until they succeeded. He did not passively wait for a convenient solution to arrive. He commanded it into existence through unwavering persistence. The drifter begs life for a smooth and comfortable path. The architect of destiny formulates his own path and forces the obstacles to step aside. But you must understand that this is not just abstract philosophy. There is a precise biological mechanism operating inside your head right now. It is called the reticular activating system. This tiny network of neurons sits at the base of your human brain, and it is the most powerful filtering tool in the entire known universe. Every single second, millions of pieces of data flood your senses. If your brain processed all of it, you would instantly go mad. So this biological mechanism strictly filters the incoming noise. It only lets in the exact information that matches your deeply held beliefs. It shows you exactly what you consistently tell it to look for. If you constantly worry about your painful lack of money, you give it an order. You are instructing your brain to scan the world for evidence of poverty. It will highlight every unpaid bill and every violently closed door. It will literally blind you to the massive opportunities sitting right in front of your face. The drifter perfectly programs his own continuous failure. But when you take absolute control as the sovereign commander, everything changes. You lock your intense focus onto a definite chief aim. You repeat your command every single day with brutal emotional intensity. Suddenly, your filtering mechanism powerfully shifts its primary focus. You begin to notice conversations and pathways that were completely invisible to you yesterday. The universe did not suddenly drop a magical sign from the sky. The opportunities were always there waiting for your command. You just could not see them, because your unprogrammed mind filtered them out as irrelevant noise. When you align your internal frequency with wealth, your physical eyes finally open to the abundance. This is why absolute obsession is never a weakness. The masses will always tell you to seek a balanced life. They will tell you to calm down and be somewhat realistic. But the legendary titans of history were never realistic. They were gloriously obsessed with their singular and definite vision. Obsession is the exact fuel required to run this powerful biological machine. You must become fiercely obsessed with your ultimate purpose. You must become the mental gatekeeper who ruthlessly defends his focus from trivial distractions. The world will try to pull your attention away with cheap entertainment and endless drama. You must shut it out completely without any hesitation. Your mind is a sacred temple meant for powerful creation. When you harness this neuroplasticity, you completely stop waiting for miracles. You realize that success is simply the intersection of a prepared mind and an open opportunity. The drifter sits on the couch and sadly waits for destiny to knock. The Creator builds the door, turns the handle, and walks straight into his newly constructed empire. Do you finally see the massive responsibility placed in your hands today? You can no longer blame your harsh circumstances on a lack of cosmic signals. You are the one holding the heavy remote control to your own perception. If you do not like the current channel you are watching, you have the absolute power to change the frequency immediately. The undeniable evidence of the Titans is remarkably clear. They program their minds with relentless repetition until the world bent to their vision. They use the exact same biological mechanism that you possess in your head right now. The only difference is that they took control of it while you allowed yours to drift aimlessly. It is time to fiercely close the gap between your current reality and your ultimate potential. You have the historical proof and you have the scientific mechanism. The invisible signals are eagerly waiting for your absolute command to become visible. But merely knowing this truth is not enough to change your life. You must learn how to actively program this powerful mechanism today. How do you perfectly install this operating system into your subconscious? How do you take supreme control of the filter so you never miss another grand opportunity? The answer lies in a very specific and unwavering routine. It requires a deep discipline that forever separates the elite from the average masses. We will now move directly into the exact ritual of absolute command. Now, let us make this practical. You have absorbed the heavy philosophy of the ancient Titans. You understand the biological mechanism of your own human brain. But you must realize that knowledge without immediate execution is absolutely worthless to a man who wants to conquer the world. The drifter reads endless books and never changes a single daily habit. The Creator takes one powerful law and completely builds an empire upon it. I am about to give you the exact protocol. This is the nightly ritual used by the elite 1% to bend reality. It requires no money and no special equipment. It only demands your absolute and uncompromising discipline because you must become the mental gatekeeper of your own subconscious mind. And this sacred work begins in the deep silence of the night. The last 15 minutes before you fall asleep are critical. Your conscious mind is incredibly tired and its heavy defenses are finally lowering. This is the exact moment when the massive gateway to your subconscious mind swings wide open to receive new instructions. The drifter uses this sacred time to worry about unpaid bills. He replays every embarrassing mistake he made during the long day. By doing this, he hands a perfect blueprint of anxiety to his internal contractor. He literally commands his powerful brain to construct a terrible and frustrating tomorrow. You will never commit this silent crime against yourself again. From this night forward, your bedroom becomes a fortress of absolute creation where you will shut out the noisy world and step into your immense power. Here is step 1 of the protocol. You must completely disconnect from all electronic screens at least 30 minutes before sleep. The artificial light and the endless digital noise are incredibly toxic to your mental programming. They fill your head with the chaotic agendas of other lost people, and you must strip all of that away until only your fierce ambition remains. Step 2 requires absolute physical stillness in the dark. Lie flat on your back and let your tired muscles sink heavily into the bed. Close your eyes and take 3 extremely slow and deliberate breaths. With every single exhale, you must actively command the heavy stress to leave your physical body so you can clear the sacred soil for the new seeds to be planted. Now you enter step 3. This is where the sovereign commander takes total control of the mental realm. You must clearly state your definite chief aim. Say this aloud, not once, but every single night. I am the architect of destiny, and I heavily command massive wealth into my life. Your voice must carry the absolute certainty of a powerful king issuing a final royal decree. Do not whisper it like a weak beggar waiting for a small favor. Speak it with quiet and terrifying conviction. Feel the powerful vibration of the words echoing deep within your own chest. Your subconscious mind does not understand abstract logic or mild preferences, but it completely understands raw emotion and the undeniable weight of your continuous daily repetition. Step 4 is the act of vivid and deliberate visualization. You must not picture the heavy process of working hard. You must strictly visualize the final and glorious end result. See the exact number in your bank account with brilliant clarity. Feel the specific texture of the steering wheel in your dream car, and you must live fully inside that vivid moment right now. The drifter imagines wealth as a distant fantasy that might happen someday. The Creator forcefully experiences the wealth as a present and undeniable fact. You must hold that intense feeling of victory until you drift into deep sleep. Let that powerful emotion be the very last thing your conscious mind touches, because your internal contractor will immediately go to work for you. While your physical body rests, your mind will violently hunt for solutions. It will scan the infinite quantum field for the exact circumstances you commanded. This is the cold calmness of the elite operator. You do not panic during the day because you have already won the massive victory during the dark night. You are simply walking through the physical echo of your own commands. When you wake up the next morning, do not touch your phone. Do not immediately let the chaotic world rush back into your sacred space. Take 5 minutes to fiercely reestablish your dominant identity. Remind yourself that you are a completely unshakable force of nature. Walk out of your bedroom with the heavy and commanding presence of a man who absolutely owns the world. This ritual sounds incredibly simple, but it is brutally difficult to maintain. The average man will attempt it for 3 days and then violently quit. He will say it does not work because a bag of money did not fall on his head. That is the weak mindset of the eternal consumer. The true builder knows that mental programming requires relentless and aggressive repetition over a long time. You must guard this nightly ritual with your very life. If you miss one night, you leave the gate open for the enemy of doubt to sneak inside. You must become completely unreasonable about your total mental hygiene. Cut out the toxic friends who constantly complain about their sad lives, because you cannot afford to absorb their terrible frequency into your beautifully clean mind. Every time you perform this ritual, you are carving a deep riverbed in your brain. The water of opportunity will naturally flow exactly where the heavy trench is dug. You are actively forcing your biological filtering system to serve your massive ambition. This is exactly how you systematically collapse time and pull your glorious future directly into your present reality. This is the great secret of the ancient ones. It is not magic, and it is not a random accident. It is the absolute brutal discipline of the deeply focused human mind. You now possess the exact weapon needed to shatter your invisible prison forever. But a powerful weapon is entirely useless if the soldier is too terrified to pull the heavy trigger in the heat of the fierce battle. You have the sacred knowledge. You know exactly what you must do tonight when the lights finally go out. The only remaining question is a matter of your own deep courage. Will you actually commit to this path, or will you shrink back into the familiar shadows? The final test of your character is approaching fast, and it requires a completely irreversible vow from your soul. Now comes the turning point. You have absorbed the heavy truth of the ancient law. You have seen the clear difference between the helpless drifter and the undeniable creator. But standing at the edge of this massive realization is not enough. You must actively cross the terrifying line. The old version of you must violently die tonight so the sovereign commander can finally breathe. You cannot carry your comfortable excuses into this new empire. The universe demands a complete and absolute sacrifice of your former identity. The man who always waited for permission must be permanently destroyed. The victim who constantly blamed the harsh economy must be erased from your mind. You cannot negotiate a peaceful treaty with your own weakness. Weakness must be obliterated. You are standing in the middle of the most important battlefield of your life. The real enemy is not the terrible government. The enemy is not your severe lack of a formal education. The enemy is the quiet voice inside your head telling you to patiently wait for a better day. That voice is a dangerous liar. It wants to keep you heavily chained to a life of quiet desperation. Every single time you delay your ultimate decision, you bleed precious power. You hand your sacred authority over to the chaotic circumstances of the external world. The drifter lives in a perpetual state of almost being ready. He is always one book away or one perfect moment away from finally starting. But the perfect moment is a cruel illusion designed to keep you totally paralyzed. The Creator deeply understands that the perfect moment is precisely right now. He steps into the violent storm and commands the wild winds to obey his strict direction. He does not ask the cold world if he is worthy of immense wealth. He decides his own high worth and forces the physical reality to match his absolute standard. You must adopt this exact level of ruthless dominance. This is the ultimate psychological test of your spiritual courage. Are you truly ready to abandon the heavy comfort of being a helpless victim? Because being a sad victim is incredibly easy. It requires zero daily effort, and it generates endless sympathy from other weak men. But sympathy will never put millions of dollars into your bank account. Sympathy will never build a legacy. You have been desperately begging for a sign for many years. You wanted a booming voice from the clouds to tell you that you are uniquely special, but the universe does not coddle the weak. It violently tests them to see if they will break under pressure. The relentless pain and the deep exhaustion you feel right now is the universe challenging your resolve. Will you finally stand up? The universe is completely indifferent to your endless daily complaints, but it is deeply, fiercely loyal to your absolute commands. When you issue a firm command with zero doubt, the quantum field immediately organizes to deliver the exact physical equivalent. The people you need will suddenly appear. The massive capital you desperately require will miraculously flow into your hands. You must boldly answer that fierce cosmic question tonight. There is absolutely no more middle ground available to you. You cannot keep 1 foot in the world of the drifter and 1 foot in the world of the elite. A divided mind will always rapidly collapse under heavy external pressure. You must make a brutal and irreversible decision right now. You must completely burn the boats. When you finally burn the boats, your subconscious mind fully realizes that you are completely serious. The internal contractor immediately stops building escape routes and starts building massive fortresses. The hesitation completely vanishes from your daily actions. Your biological filtering mechanism locks onto your definite chief aim with terrifying and absolute precision. The sad time for drifting is officially over. You have heard the absolute truth of the ancient universal law. You now know that every excuse you have ever made was nothing but a fragile shadow. The invisible prison is completely destroyed. The massive heavy doors are wide open, but you are the only one who can command your physical legs to walk out of the dark, silent cell. Tonight, as you finally close your eyes, you must make a final and total choice. Will you return to the chaotic noise of the desperate masses, or will you boldly step into the quiet and immense power of the 1%? You know exactly what the drifter will do. He will close this video and immediately forget everything. He will surrender his mind back to the trivial distractions. But you are not a drifter. You are the true architect of destiny. You are the mental gatekeeper of your own sacred mind. You do not simply consume powerful information like a passive victim. You weaponize it. You take this heavy wisdom and you forge it into a sharp blade to cut down your obstacles. You must now seal this massive transformation with a physical act of commitment. If you are truly ready to command your destiny, you must seal your decision right now. Do not wait for tomorrow morning. Hesitation is the sudden violent death of your destiny. Write your definite purpose in the comments below. State exactly what you command from this universe. Let those bold words be the iron contract you legally sign with your own soul. The universe is watching. Make your final sacred vow public to the tribe. When you declare your bold intention, you lock the frequency into the physical realm. Subscribe to this channel if you proudly walk this difficult path. Join the ranks of the elite who absolutely refuse to live an average life. Do not let this powerful fire quietly die out. Return to this exact lesson every single night without fail. You were never actually waiting for a magical sign. You were just waiting for yourself to finally wake up. The sovereign commander is now awake. Your new incredible life begins in this exact moment. Command your powerful mind. Build your massive legacy. And never again let a weak, toxic thought decide your ultimate glorious future.